Yo, what's up? I'm Cameron Grandchamp, and welcome back to C Squared. We're trying out a new style of filming for this week, so let us know what you think. We have a ton of new music news that came out over our time off, so for this week I'm going to give a recap on everything that happened during our break. First off, rap group and modern boy band Brockhampton released the final installation in their beloved Saturation trilogy. Saturation 3 dropped on December 15th, coming completely out of nowhere. The album showed off the group's many talents in a total number of 15 tracks, ending the year off in a bang for the group. Songs such as Boogie, Zipper, Johnny, Stupid, Bleach, Hottie, Sister Slash, Nation, and Team lived up to the expectation that the group set back with the release of the first installment in the Saturation trilogy. The Saturation trilogy was an experiment made by the group themselves to see what would happen if they oversaturated the music scene. The group was constantly pumping out albums, with the start of Saturation 1 on June 9th, with Saturation 2 following up on August 25th, and finally Saturation 3 on December 15th. They have seen a massive increase in their following on social media and are now selling out concerts across the nation. Next up, we have Chance the Rapper's Christmas album, Merry Christmas, Little Mama Disc 2. This album also came out of nowhere and came without any teasing or warning. The SoundCloud-only release was the second part to his Christmas album that came out around the same time last year. This year's installment contains 10 tracks with features from Jeremiah all throughout. Another rapper by the name of XXXTentacion was put in jail for 8 charges of witness tampering. He was incarcerated after his trial occurred on December 15th. On December 21st, he was released and put under house arrest until his next trial, where he could face possible decades in jail. For now, he's still allowed to make as much music as he pleases, as long as it's from his own home. For the time being, X's lawyers will be preparing for his follow-up trial on January 24th, 2018. Kendrick Lamar has done it again with the release of a music video for his song Love, featuring Zachary. Kendrick is known for his stunning videos that really amplify the listening experience for his music, and he lived up to that expectation once again. The music video is directed by Dave Meyers and the Little Homies, who were responsible for his previous videos. Kendrick also announced that he will be making an original soundtrack for the upcoming Marvel movie Black Panther. 2017's come and gone, so for the last little bit of time that I have here, I'm going to give you a list of my top 10 favorite albums that were released in 2017. This list is all in my opinion, so take it with a little bit of grain of salt. Starting off with my number 10 spot, I chose Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples. Big Fish Theory had a few really good songs, but the rest of the music on the album really didn't fit my taste in music, so that's why it's at number 10. For number 9, I chose Drop Out of School by Puya and Fat Nick. Even though this album is very underground, this album is really what got me into Puya. Just like Big Fish Theory, this album also had a few really good songs, and even though the rest weren't really my taste, I still enjoyed it more than Vince's album. For number 8, I chose Everybody by Logic. This album was one of my most listened to albums of 2017, but it simply did not compare up to the rest of the albums on this list. The constant saying of how Logic is, biracial and him having a rough past really drove me away from his album. It's absolutely fine to talk about those kinds of topics in your music, but once it gets as repetitive as Logic has made it, it really drives you away. The beats were astonishing, but as I dug more into the lyrics, I really got tired of it quick, and that's why it's at my number 8 spot. For number 7, I chose More Life by Drake. I personally think that Drake is way overrated, and I really didn't enjoy much of his music until this album came out. Songs such as Passion Fruit, Fake Love, Guile Chester, Free Smoke, and more showed off the potential that Drake's had since the start. For number 6, I chose I Decided by Big Sean. This album came out earlier this year with a ton of good songs such as Jump Out the Window, No Favors, Bounce Back, Moves, Halfway Off the Balcony, and Voices in My Head. This album would have been higher, but because it came out so long ago, I put it lower than the rest of my choices. For my number 5, 4, and 3 spots, I chose the Saturation trilogy by Brockhampton, with Saturation 1 being at number 5, Saturation 3 being at number 4, and Saturation 2 being at number 3. The Saturation series brought forth a ton of new musical content to the scene and made the group blow up with fans across the world. For my number 2 spot, I chose Flower Boy by Tyler, the Creator. Flower Boy encompassed so many great musical feats for Tyler with the releases of 9/11/Mr. Lonely, I Ain't Got Time, Who Dat Boy, See You Again, and more. Because of the feats that he achieved with his music has made me a Tyler fan. For my number 1 spot, I chose Kendrick Lamar's album. Most of you already know the name and the album, so I don't even need to say the name. Kendrick's album is an album that is on almost everybody's list that listens to hip-hop. This album incorporated so many great musical techniques and features that it's almost impossible to hate this album. Songs such as DNA, Humble, Love, Element, Loyalty, and more make this album one of the best of Kendrick's works. I listen to these songs on a daily basis, and they are truly a work of art.
Thanks, Cam. Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, and I really didn't like it that much. I'm not saying that it was terrible, but the story felt odd with many different climaxes. Not only this, but it seemed to completely get rid of the whole concept of The Force Awakens and destroy the purpose in the build-up. There's a certain section in the movie that I felt was unnecessary, and I was not a fan of the Rose Finn story arc. Overall, the movie wasn't terrible, but it was not at all what I expected, and it honestly didn't feel like a Star Wars movie.